Today, we'll be taking a detailed look at one of the most tragic and devastating train accidents in German history, the Langen-Weddingen train disaster of 1967. On the 6th July, a train carrying 540 passengers slammed into a fuel tanker loaded with over 4,000 gallons of petroleum. This incident resulted in the loss of 94 lives, including many children, and shocked the nation. In this episode, we'll walk you through the timeline of events leading up to the disaster, the accident itself, and the aftermath that followed. Before we go into the tragedy, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe and like the video to support the channel. Thank you. To understand the gravity of the Langen-Weddingen train disaster, it's important to first grasp the context in which it occurred. Langen-Weddingen is a small village located in East Germany, about 12 kilometers southwest of Magdeburg, in what was then the German Democratic Republic (GDR). At the time, the country's railway infrastructure was extensive, with many small villages connected by regional train services. Level crossings were common, with many of them lacking the sophisticated safety measures we have today. The disaster occurred at a level crossing on the Magdeburg-Thayer railway line, a route regularly used by both passenger and freight trains. The crossing in question was equipped with manual barriers, but as we'll soon learn, this safety feature would prove tragically insufficient on that fateful day. The morning of July 6, 1967 began like any other in Langen-Weddingen. The weather was clear and the village was bustling with its usual daily activities. At around 7 AM, a regional train, designated as passenger train P852, heading from Magdeburg to Thayer. This train, weighing 107 tons, was composed of a steam locomotive pulling several passenger cars, carrying around 540 passengers, including many school children returning from summer camp. At the same time, a tanker truck was on its way to deliver fuel. The truck was loaded with around 15,000 litres of a petroleum liquid, a flammable substance. Its driver, following his usual route, was approaching the level crossing at Langen-Weddingen from the north. At approximately 7:40 AM, the regional train was nearing Langen-Weddingen, travelling at about 100 km per hour. The level crossing was protected by barriers operated manually from a nearby signal box. However, a recently installed telegraph cable, which had sagged due to the heat, had started to wrap itself around one of the barriers. As the train approached, the crossing barriers were activated to lower, signalling to road traffic that a train was coming. Seeing the snagged cable, the gatekeeper wrongly decided that there was enough time to raise the barriers, untangled the cable, then quickly lowered the barriers. Unfortunately for the gatekeeper, the tanker driver, who was unaware of the cable problem and also could not see the east track train due to vegetation, mistook the raising of the barriers as a signal that it was safe to cross. This decision proved fatal. Witnesses later reported that as the truck approached the crossing, it became clear that it would not clear the tracks in time. Within moments of entering the track, just after 8 AM, the train, unable to stop due to its speed and momentum, collided with the tanker truck at full force. The impact of the collision was catastrophic. The train's locomotive struck the tanker truck directly in its center, instantly rupturing the tanker and releasing over 15,000 litres over the train. The force of the crash caused the tanker to explode in a massive fireball, engulfing the train's front carriages in flames. The first two passenger cars bore the brunt of the explosion. The intense heat and the spread of the fuel caused a rapidly escalating inferno, trapping passengers inside the burning train. Many of the victims were school children seated in these front carriages, unable to escape the flames. The fire spread so quickly that rescue efforts were severely hampered. Local residents and railway workers rushed to the scene, but the fire, burning at over 1000 degrees Celsius, proved impossible for people to help. It took several hours for firefighters to bring the blaze under control. By the time the fire was extinguished, the devastation was immense. 94 people were killed in the disaster, including 44 school children. The bodies of many victims were so badly burnt that identification was only possible through personal belongings. In addition to the fatalities, over 50 people were injured, many with severe burns and other life-threatening injuries. The Langen-Weddington train disaster remains one of the deadliest railway accidents in German history. In the days following the disaster, an investigation was launched to determine the cause of the accident. The investigation revealed several critical factors that contributed to the tragedy. The level crossing was equipped with manual barriers and warning lights. However, the decision to locate unrelated equipment such as the cable so close to the barriers was criticized. There were no automated systems in place to detect obstacles on the tracks and stop the train in time. There were also no adequate emergency protocols or fire suppression systems on the train that could have mitigated the severity of the fire. The primary cause was determined to be the decision of the gatekeeper, who had decided to raise the barriers when a train was coming without any communication with the tanker driver. This reckless act directly led to the collision, and as a result, he was given a prison sentence of 5 years. The investigation's findings led to widespread criticism of the GDR's railway safety standards, particularly regarding level crossings. The Langen-Weddington disaster had a profound impact on railway safety in East Germany and beyond. In the wake of the accident, there was a push to improve safety at level crossings throughout the GDR. The authorities introduced stricter regulations for level crossings, including the installation of more automated systems and the elimination of some crossings altogether. Memorials were erected in Langen-Weddington and other nearby communities to honor the victims, particularly the children who lost their lives. The disaster is still remembered today as a symbol of the importance of railway safety and the devastating consequences of neglecting it. The Langen-Weddington train disaster is one of the darkest moments in the history of rail travel. The events of July 6, 1967 showed how a single moment of misjudgment could lead to unimaginable loss. As we remember those who perished, let us also reflect on the importance of safety measures that protect us from such tragedies. Thank you for watching this detailed account of the Langen-Weddington train disaster and supporting the channel.